Are you sure? Well, we are dead in the water again. Our bilge keeps filling up with water.
Something is smoke.
We just seen smoke come out of our electric fuel pump.
Turn off.
We think that's toast as well, which is going to make getting to where we need to go really, really challenging.
Not long ago, we left it all behind to live out our dreams of exploring the epic coastal waters of the Pacific Northwest. It's been a bit of a rolly ride, so if you're just joining us, let's get you caught up to speed. We purchased our 30-foot no-frills sailboat here on Vancouver Island during the height of the
It's strange, it's the pandemic, and I feel like I've forgotten how to put one of these things on.
It was in decent condition, but like all old boats, it needed a ton of work to get back in ship shape. We scrubbed and wrenched through winter and spring, fixing the immediate issues, taking her out as often as we could to learn the ropes and eventually how to sail. By summer, we finally felt ready to cast our lines and set sail on the Salish Sea. We cruised to some incredible places, but it hasn't all been smooth sailing. First, our steering failed in the Strait of Georgia.
Very steep, this landing curve. Wow.
Safe and sound back on the dock, we repaired our steering system, then set off to explore Canada's cruiser's paradise, Desolation Sound. But things got off to a spicy start.
We've noticed that our engine has been leaking coolant,
leading to our engine overheating. Without wind or an outboard, we resorted to using paddle power to row our boat to safe anchorage. Once our engine cooled down, we were able to investigate and solve the issue.
to cut the hose back an inch or two to some fresh hose and reclamp it, and we'll just keep a close eye on our running temperatures. Hopefully everything will be okay.
But things quickly went from bad to worse a few days later, when we switched on the engine and the shaft inside the water pump sheared off, rendering us adrift in diminishing winds with night approaching. Back in safe harbor, we pulled out our wrenches again and got to work. After a week of repairs, we were back up and running. A successful test drive confirmed we had fixed our broken engine, and we spent a few bliss-filled days island hopping our way up the coast without any issues. With our season sadly drawing to an end, it was time to head south towards our home port. But it wasn't long before trouble stirred again, and we found ourselves in this situation, bucketing water rather quickly out of our bilge.
Something is smoke. Turn off.
Yeah, the regulator smoke. It's the diesel line regulator. Probably because it just went underwater and shorted out.
Hi. We have a situation.
What's the problem?
Well, we just noticed like the bilge was full within like 30 minutes. I just bailed it out with like 3 buckets of water. Then we just started seeing smoke in the engine, so we just turned it off.
It looks like the smoke was coming out of the diesel line regulator.
Okay. Not an electrical thing, then.
It smelled like it electrically fried.
Yeah.
It probably got some salt water onto it, and it probably just fried and burnt out. Yeah, it's probably the fuel pump.
The fuel pump.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're just floating right now, and there's no wind.
You know how it floats back?
No.
Well, we are dead in the water again. Our bilge keeps filling up with water because our stuffing box is leaking, and we just seen smoke come out of our electric fuel pump. So we think that's toast as well, which is going to make getting to where we need to go really, really challenging. We had a chat with Dennis, and he says to see if the motor will start and run. If it has an internal fuel pump, it'll keep running, at which point we can just disconnect the electric fuel pump and hopefully, fingers crossed, the engine keeps running for us. So I think that'll be our plan. We'll see if it starts up, disconnect the pump and see how long it runs for.
You want me to start it now?
Yes. Yes.
What?
I have the fire extinguisher, so we're good.
Okay, ready?
Yep. call Dennis.
Okay.
So we got the engine running again. There's doesn't seem to be any more smoke coming out of the electric fuel pump, so we left it connected. We're just gonna coast along really gently, keep an eye on it, make sure it's no longer smoking, and if it does, we'll disconnect it. And apart from that, we'll just keep an eye on the stuffing box and the fullness of the bilge and bail it out by hand when we need, and hopefully we can get it into the dock where we can make some repairs again.
So yeah, we're just motoring along at a pretty slow speed here. I'm keeping an eye on the smoking situation, and we've got about 6 nautical miles until we get to Powell River. So fingers crossed we can make it and nothing else seriously serious will go wrong.
Fingers crossed. Wish us luck. We're going really slowly. We're doing 2 knots an hour. We have 4 nautical miles to go. It's actually going to be a beautiful sunset, and we're probably pretty lucky to be out here, so we should just sit back, enjoy it, and just keep our noses out to make sure that we don't smell any fried electricals. Keep our fire extinguisher handy. I have my electrical disconnect clippers in case we need to quickly disconnect something electrical.
I made some guacamole.
It was really good. It was good guac. It definitely calmed me down.
Whenever I'm stressed out, I make food.
Back to the Powell River to spend more money at our good friends at Marine Traders. Thank you for sponsoring the show.
They don't sponsor us.
Maybe they will by the time when this is released.
We're keeping them in business without them sponsoring us.
Yeah, I mean, we're keeping their business afloat. They're keeping us literally afloat. So it's pretty good. It's a good reciprocal relationship we're having with them. Hopefully this will just be a quick trip this time.
Not a week.
Not a week.
You know, I'm just hoping that we get there and we don't sink.
Yeah, me too. That's actually what we're hoping for.
I felt it like deep in my gut of like, something's gonna go wrong. It was like a warning.
Are we superstitious? I never really thought that we were superstitious, but it turns out we might be.
What lessons have you guys learned out here? Do you feel like all of these things can be avoided and you just need to stay on top of it, or does shit just happen no matter how prepared you feel like you are? I don't know.
Good questions. We're arriving here in the Powell River, and we're gonna go find ourselves a spot in the marina for the night and deal with our problems in the morning.
Well, we made it. We are back on the dock here in Powell River. Whew, what an adventure. We will pick up with you guys in the morning.
Good night.
Thanks, y'all. Good night. Well, good morning. We haven't even had coffee yet, and we are stuck into this.
Looking at the stuffing box.
Whew. Well, it is a super hot, stuffy, sweaty day here in Powell River. Smoky too, which makes it all a little bit more suffocating. But James and I have just finished walking all over town to find some of the stuff that we need. We picked up some wrenches that will fit on our stuffing box so that we can tighten that down. Also picked up the material that goes in the stuffing box and a new bilge pump. So we are gonna get into it here.
Might just cut that. So we're gonna replace our bilge pump here. We have one of these low pro rule pumps. They work. This one doesn't work so well. The float switch has gone in it, so it won't automatically cycle, which is why our bilge filled up. Pretty straightforward installation. The out pipe just connects here, and then there's a ground manual wire and the automatic wire, which we will just reconnect to the pre-existing wiring. 1 hose clamp, 3 wires. It shouldn't take us too long, and we'll have the new pump installed.
First step is clean the bilge.
The bilge is filthy, and I don't want to put a new bilge pump in a filthy bilge, so we'll clean out the bilge, and we'll put in a new bilge pump once it's all clean. Well, when I was cleaning these to pull these apart, it turns out I guess some water infiltrated this connector, and the wire wasn't connected, and I bet you anything that this wire is the one for the automatic function. Which would mean that the float switch is probably not broken, it was just disconnected.
So we will reinstall the old bilge pump and see if it works, and we'll keep our new one for a spare.
Because you should always have a spare bilge pump in case your bilge pump stops working. But the moral of the story, I think this is the moral, is that in most of the cases when things have broken on our boat, it's more just that a wire came loose and it wasn't connected. Apart from the water pump earlier, that was not a wire. Let's reconnect this wire.
I see some of your toes.
Yeah, I've seen lots of people doing this when they were in Nepal. It's as hard as it looks. Well, it turned on automatically, but there's no water in the bilge, so let's put some water in the bilge and test it out. So yeah, that realized that it was underwater and it turned on.
It wasn't broken, it just had a disconnected wire.
Our minds were broken and couldn't think of the wire as being a culprit. So no harm done, apart from the fuel pump that definitely blew up.
So our stuffing box is leaking and we know we need to tighten the packing nut to reduce this drip that we've got going on. And it sounds easy enough, you just grab 2 wrenches and make this happen. But what is awkward about our particular boat is that the packing nut is located directly under this fiberglass wall that's connected to our galley countertop. So it's really hard to get a wrench on there, and we're just trying to work out how to position it all to make it work. You can see there's a pretty steady drip there. It's not really supposed to drip when we're not using the engine. So we'll tighten it up and hopefully it'll stop that drip.
So this is the packing nut there. Well, this one's the packing nut and this is the lock nut. And it's dripping out the bottom here of the packing nut. So we need to loosen off the locking nut and then tighten up the packing nut to squeeze the stuffing box a little bit tighter to reduce the drip. There's a little bit of corrosion on the stuffing box just from the salt water, so we're just going to clean it up with the brass brush, get it nice and clean, and then we'll put some penetrating oil on it to get the parts to free up a little bit easier. So now that the threads are cleaned up a little bit, we're going to spray some penetrating oil on there, and hopefully that'll help the locking nut to slip a little bit easier and we can wind it back a little bit. Well, it's taken a little bit of finagling here, but I think I found a position in which I can finally get a vice grip and a wrench onto the packing nut and the locking nut, and hopefully we can crack it off now that the penetrating oil's had a chance to sit in for a little bit. All right. Oh, it turned. Wow.
Good.
That didn't actually take anything to crack it once we let that penetrate. Wow. So you can see there, we've wound the locking nut back a few threads, and now we can tighten up the packing nut to squeeze the stuffing box a little tighter and slow the drip down. So we just got off the phone with Dennis, who is kind of like our sailing guru, tells us everything we need to know about what we're doing. He's really cool. And he said that now that the locking nut is cracked, all we really have to do is hold the shaft with one hand and then just wind the packing nut up tight, and that's just compressing the stuffing inside the stuffing box onto the threaded shaft. So we'll do that. He also suggested that we wind the locking nut back and forth a few times just to help clear any corrosion out of the threads that is built up. That way it'll be easier for us to take the locking nut off next time, because really the stuffing box is something that you should be regularly checking and adjusting. It's a really simple mechanism, but the consequences of it failing are pretty dire. It's like a hole straight through the boat to the ocean and your boat will sink. Good thing to check on it. So let's try to wind it up. That's a little bit of a turn. Let's check on our drip situation.
I don't see one yet.
Okay, well that's good that it's not tripping when it's not running.
The thing to do would be to wind the nut back up and run the engine and let it warm up, because it should be completely not dripping when the engine's not running. And when you're running the engine, it should be
Just
1
a
to
little.
2 drips a minute. Okay, so the locking nut's tightened back down now that we've squeezed the packing nut up a bit. We only turned it like 1/8 of a turn, which isn't very much, but it seems to have slowed the drip down. So let's turn the engine over, run it at RPM for a little bit, and reassess, see what's going on. Well, we are off. We are leaving Powell River and heading to Vancouver Island, back to our home port of French Creek, because we have a flight to catch from Vancouver out to Ontario for a family reunion. I hope we make it there. We still got 2 days of leeway.
We hope nothing else breaks.
Yeah, we hope nothing else breaks. Nothing else is gonna break, we're good. It'll be fine. We've got a little bit of southeasterly wind today, so we're gonna try to sail across on a beam for a little bit and then head south upwind. Another day of tacking.
Well, it turned out to be a motor sail day. As soon as we got out into the Strait of Georgia, the wind completely just died. We were supposed to have 15 knots or so, and we couldn't keep our Genoa full. So we've been motor sailing the last 3 or 4 hours. We just rounded the point here to Hornby Island, and we figured we'll just stay here for the night, and then tomorrow morning we should have a good northwesterly to blow us home the last 13 nautical miles. And from there, we've got a plane to catch, and I am so excited. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. Family time.
Woo! Well, immediate change of plans. It's definitely going to be too rolly in there.
It's going to be very rolly in there. Tribune Bay here is very exposed to the south, and it's been blowing southeasterlies for the last 2 days, and the swell is going to take ages to dissipate. So, and then you got the Qualicum wind that blows up overnight from the west, which also kind of blows right into the anchorage.
Doesn't make for a very good sleep, and there's no other anchorages that close to us. Honestly, the closest place to go really is our home port, so
It's only 13 nautical miles away, so we may as well just push through.
we'll push all the way. No, it's not sailing, but it's the way she goes sometimes.
Yeah, back to French Creek.
Back to home port. Whale sightings are generally a good omen for us, so we were happy to spot this humpy on the way home. And our stuffing box appears to be dripping at the normal rate again, so that's good. After a pleasantly uneventful few hours of motor sailing, we were safely back in home port, and just in time because some not so nice weather was rolling in.
We wanted to say a huge thank you for everybody for watching our videos, for showing up week after week, and for subscribing and joining us on this journey with us. We've really enjoyed chatting with you down in the comments.
As a new channel, we would really appreciate your support. Thank you for continuing to like, share, and comment on our videos. It really helps us out and allows us to get noticed by the YouTube algorithm. If you'd like to consider supporting our videos more directly, you can do so by becoming a Patreon.
For as little as $3 per creation, you'll receive Patreon-only updates, early access to our videos ad-free, and you'll also get a yearly postcard from us. What? They're not going to get it from anybody else. That's the whole point.
You can also make a one-time donation via our PayPal link in the description below. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.